Well, thank you everybody for joining us. My name is Gabriel Jaramillo. I'm the Director of Healthy Communities here at the Vitalist Health Foundation. I oversee our programmatic work in housing. And as part of that comes our Promising Practices research paper. I'm happy to have Trevor with us today. He's a highlight of one of our promising practices and best practices examples. So Trevor, would you mind introducing yourself and letting us know a little bit about your projects?
Absolutely. I'm Trevor Barger. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for ZenniHome. We are a manufacturer home builder here in Arizona. We manufacture in Page, Arizona at the site of the old Navajo generating station. So go ahead.
No, that's amazing. Thank you, Trevor. And I know you're going to give us a little bit about ZenniHomes, but would you mind going into a little bit about the impact in Page, and because that's a significant portion of your development?
It is. So when we started the company, we went looking for places where we could set up a factory and have folks really join us that would add to their talents to be able to start manufacturing. And it's a little strange, but manufacturing is very different than the construction. And so typically when we think about home building, we think about the industry of construction. And as you can imagine, when you build a house, each trade comes in one at a time. They do their part. There's very little instruction or details about how their part's to be done. They know it based on code. They know it based on how the proper ways to do it. But it's a very step at a time process, which is very time consuming. And we were looking for folks that really could help us out with manufacturing, particularly in steel. And at the old Navajo generating station, of course, we have people really well trained by SRP in welding and electrical work and plumbing. And so all of these really well-trained folks and very highly needed skills.
That's amazing, and such a unique approach in a need to fill in that area. And you have an amazing product coming out of those factories and from those skilled workers. Tell us a little bit about ZenniHomes.
Certainly. So we started fairly recently. We're still a new startup company. And we looked at that idea of what if you could transform the way people live? And so we looked at, with ZenniHome, what if we could transform the way people live? What if houses were really designed to give their owners pride of setting? You design them like yachts. Nobody complains about a yacht being small or too little of a space. It's a great place to hang out for a weekend. What if interiors could have the quality of private airport or private jets? And so similarly, no one complains about these spaces being too small. This is our interior, equipped that same sort of way. And we asked, what if they were built to factory specifications? Looking at each unit done in individual components brought to the factory line. That way you know the quality of every unit, you know how to maintain every unit, and we really can do some amazing things that aren't possible otherwise in construction. Still building, though, to the International Residential Code and the International Building Code. And what if we could use robotic furniture to make each room more useful? And so in our units, we offer an option to have Ori furniture. This is the Ori couch. And then the bed drops from the ceiling right over the top of the couch to make the bedroom space. We also have an Ori closet where the closet rolls open into place to provide a walk-in closet in that setting. And so with these, you can transform each room into new spaces. We also know that in many rural areas, construction is a very difficult thing because there aren't the crews available. And so we wanted to make sure that the product was easily shippable anywhere in the country. To do that, we made sure the house is built in 2 parts to the international shipping standards, so it can go easily in the back of a flatbed, step bed semi-truck and be delivered anywhere in the country. And so you can imagine your own ZenniHome sitting in rural Arizona, sitting in the northern woods, or in our Sonoran deserts. And what if the houses could be off-grid? Again, in rural areas where power and water may not be easily available, or even in urban areas where people want a lighter footprint, being able to design homes with separate gray water and black water systems, solar panels that can power everything except for the hot water heater and clothes dryer, and hydro panels that allow you to collect drinking water out of the atmosphere. All ways to make the home really sustainable. With separate gray water and black water systems, as you can imagine, you can take the gray water, run it through a charcoal filter, and just release it to the environment as your irrigation for your landscape. The black water then really only having two fixtures, the kitchen sink and the toilet needing to go to sewer or septic. And what if houses could be stacked in urban forms? As you know, with so little private property available in the state of Arizona, really this becomes an issue about how we live affordably in urban settings. And so looking for ways that we could have homes that could stack into duplexes or triplexes or quadruplexes. You can imagine a home like this is either three separate families living there, or one family living on the main level with the kids upstairs and the office downstairs, really providing flexibility about how we might live in these settings. And being able to take that all the way to mid-rise structures. This one is under development in downtown Mesa, right across the street from Milano's Music. It'll be 5 stories of residential on top of 1 story of ground floor market. To do that, this is 90 homes on half an acre. This is high-rise density in a mid-rise structure. That does wonderful things to keep affordability for the individual tenants, but also people on the street in urban areas that you really get that great interaction with the community. We were asked when we were getting the building approved if we were going to provide private amenities, and we sort of chuckled a little bit and said, what more amenity do you think you could provide than downtown Mesa? We have 20 restaurants within a few blocks. We have the Arts Center with all of its performance spaces. We have the YMCA with their pools and private workout facilities. We have ASU and Benedictine if you want to do further research and development. We have everything you could possibly want in the urban fabric. We don't have to provide it privately. It's part of the public realm. And so in these sort of settings, we can really do fun things about how it interacts with the urban piece. Also, if they're built off-site like we do in Page, Arizona, then they come to the site already manufactured and they lift them into position. And in 45 days, they'll have all of the homes loaded onto the concrete podium for the ground floor, minimizing the amount of disturbance to urban areas with construction. And what if houses could just use less land? So typically when we talk about single-family detached homes in neighborhoods, we are talking about somewhere around 4 homes to the acre. But with smaller homes and smaller sites, then we can really rework that to get anywhere from 10 to 18 homes on an individual acre for infill sites. You can imagine this in downtown Phoenix or downtown Mesa, where there are old home sites that are gone, but really we could bring residents back to those areas. We've also looked at it in garden cluster settings. In these areas where a typical neighborhood might only get 36 homes, like this one shown here on the left, with ZenniHomes in the clustered arrangement with great open space in the middle, you could get 170 homes in relatively the same area. Doing duplexes and quadruplexes, this can, again, increase in density up to 18 dwelling units per acre. And again, on individual home sites where you have a home that's missing in a neighborhood, you could easily fill in with 2 to 4 new homes on the same amount of property that would allow families to move into existing neighborhoods. For garden apartments, again, doing an individual level like this is 20 units per level. So for a multifamily 3-story garden apartment like we typically have around the valley, you could get up to 60 dwelling units per acre that way. That's usually reserved for mid-rise development. And with the floor-to-ceiling glass, it's really a high amenity apartment for the individuals living there. Also, since we build the entire box in multifamily settings, your roof is not your neighbor's floor. They're 2 separate structures. If you jump up and down on your roof, you're not bothering your neighbor. There are only 6 points of contact or 9 points of contact between the 2 units, really deadening the sound. They can also be done in, again, typical tower settings. This one we're looking at for a project in Phoenix, 5 stories on the ground level, being able to make a great townhouse that way. And then the mid-rise structure we talked about earlier, doing 90 homes on half an acre, bringing it to a density of 180 DU per acre. That's usually high-rise density, but doing it in a mid-rise structure. So that's what we've been up to with ZenniHomes. It's been a great success so far. We've been having a hard time keeping up with demand. It's a nice problem to have. And having the facility up in Page, Arizona, producing this for us. We hope to be starting a second factory in the next few years.
That's amazing. Thank you for that. I mean, the design, the flexibility that you have within not only the development but the placement of these homes, the flexibility and the versatility is just like you said, you highlighted it well. How do you feel ZenniHomes will contribute to the rising? And I know you had mentioned it in your presentation, but pertaining to the affordability, we talk about affordability and the rising cost of housing in Arizona. How do you feel ZenniHomes plays a part in that?
Well, the two levels. One is, according to the state, we're currently short 160,000 homes. In our best year as a housing industry, we produced 54,000 with full immigration, full employment, everything the housing industry could have going for it, and very low financing. It would take us, roughly 4 years at that rate to be able to even catch up with the current problem, not to mention the 4-year deficit we would have while we were trying to catch up. And so really we're looking at volume. How do you produce enough houses fast enough? And so that's why really looking at the automobile industry, how do they make structures and turning housing into a commodity, a product, much like your refrigerator or your automobile that's produced in a factory and produced in volume. Also, as a result of that, then there's a lot of efficiencies that come with that. We order the same 2 windows and we order thousands of them to go into the units. They're beautiful, floor to ceiling glass. But once you're ordering in mass quantity, then the cost goes down. And that we can use them for multiple things. So you can imagine if you're only building individual units in the backyard, there's a cost associated with that. But if the same unit can also be multifamily or hotels or Airbnb, then really you're addressing the whole issue of the different ways houses are used. And you're creating homes in many different ways, but getting the cost benefit of having it be the same module in all of those different ways. And so for us, our current price for our larger unit, the Citizen, is $125,000. Our price for the smaller unit, the Denison, is $90,000. And then on top of that would be the install price on an individual lot, another $25,000 to $50,000. And so with a really attainable price, to be able to get your own single-family detached home in that sort of realm, or again, being able to add to the multifamily levels, bringing in with these, since you don't need your own building crew, being able to bring new developers into the market who want to do small infill pieces of a little fourplex or a little duplex. This gives them a whole step up to be able to do that because we're providing the home and then they're just doing the site work and getting the permissions to get it installed and ready to go. And so it really makes it much simpler for people to get into the housing business and be able to provide these. And as you can imagine, some of those folks will want to provide them as rentals and some of them will want to provide them as a for sale product and then go on to their next project. And so it really opens up that market.
So let me ask you, you had mentioned, speaking of infill lots and taking into consideration your active partnership with the city of Mesa, and then you had mentioned a potential partnership with the city of Phoenix as well, using ZenniHomes. Thinking of promising practices, promising practices or best practices, what recommendations would you have for other cities looking to entertain a ZenniHome model, a development of this type with a manufactured housing partner?
Well, as you can imagine, for any homeowner, really what they want to do is walk in and get an answer of yes or no. Can I have one of these, yes or no? And the clearer and simpler we can make all of the regulations just down to a yes or no answer for someone walking in really is what makes this work very well. And so Phoenix recently just approved a new zoning amendment for all of their districts to allow accessory dwelling units in all the backyards. And then working with staff, as was directed in that hearing, to try and get pre-approved plans so that you can just have someone come in and have the simple ask that question of, can I have one of these in my backyard? They can really quickly pull up an aerial, see if it fits, and there's a yes or no answer. When we can get down to that level of simplicity with folks, it really makes it much, much easier.
That's amazing. Yep, absolutely. I completely agree. Streamlining the process has been something we've heard as continuous feedback to help streamline the process of development, diversifying housing types, which in turn we hope diversifies affordability. Trevor, if somebody wants to find more information about ZenniHomes, where would you send them?
It's really easy, right on our website, www.ZenniHome, ZenniHome, HOME.com.
Well, thank you again, Trevor. Appreciate it. And best of luck moving forward.
Thank you, Gabriel, for having us on.